Hey everybody, well this is part 3. I said this was going to be a 3-parter. In the last video I had gotten up to the devalue stage. Now this is when when you really start to feel like confusion, the gaslighting is being daily. You start questioning your sanity, you start questioning your friends and relationships with people you've known for years. And those people, they start to pull away from you. Some of them do. Some of them will stick around and try to help you, but they see that you continue going back to the same abuse. But the thing about it is, this is the saddest part about it, is that most people hide it. They don't tell their family and friends. They try to keep it secretive because they were so gung-ho about this new love, or they may have been with this person for years, and the family and friends may have heard it all before, seen it all before, so they don't want to hear about it anymore. They just kind of like, we tried to tell you, but then you get to a point where you just kind of keep it inside. You don't tell anybody. You feel like you're all alone. And then you even cling even more to the abuser, to the narcissist. But they're pulling away from you, so you feel like you don't have anybody. So this is kind of, I'll use the example with CMC as to how she treats some of her loyal following, as she calls them. If they do something, like if they, for example, come over to the awareness pages and maybe they comment, or maybe they comment in her comments in her lives, she calls them out. She calls them out. She's mad at them. She will not answer their comments. She will call them out and say, "Why were you over there at the awareness pages? Someone came and told me. My rats." If they're not sending money or stars, if they're not in the top gifting group, she kind of just, like that one example that I already used, when whoever that lady was, that she was saying to her one day, "You used to be my top tipper. What happened? You don't send tips anymore. What's going on?" And it wasn't like, "Hey, are you having some problems? Is there something going on? Can I help?" It wasn't that kind of tone. It was like, "Why are you not honoring me? Why are you not giving to me? Why am I not number one anymore?" I wish that these people could see through it. I mean, some of them do. Some of them are lucky enough that they break free and get away from her. But just like any other narcissist, any other relationship between the narcissist and the supply, oftentimes they go back. I've talked about this extensively on my YouTube channel about hoovering. The Hoover, you think the Hoover vacuum cleaner, it's a suction. It's when the narcissist sucks the person back in. But it's not always the narcissist that does the hoovering. Sometimes the victim will go back. They'll reach back out to that person, because it's kind of like, what is that saying? The devil, it's like better than being alone. It's better than feeling like you're no longer a part of that. I'm sure that's the reason why a lot of the people who jump ship and come over to the awareness pages end up going back to her, because they feel like they miss being a part of it, and they miss being like, I don't know what they miss. I guess they like abuse, or they just like giving their money away. I don't know. If I could, it would take days and days and probably weeks to sit down and name off a list of charities available in the United States or in the rest of the world that would love to have somebody's $5 You know, the Shriners Children's Hospitals is one of the big ones that I personally would push for. You know, something that I noticed about her, any charity that is really helpful to other people, she poo-poos them. The American Red Cross. She says, don't turn to the Red Cross. They don't help. Well, you know, they have so many places around the world that they're trying to help that maybe they can't come through in the snap of a finger. So sometimes maybe there's paperwork and there's protocol to go through to get help to these people and to find out if they're really needing the help that they claim, you know. But she poo-poos them. She poo-poos hospice. Anything that is, I don't know. I guess she wants them all to turn to her, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Another thing that she does that's very narcissistic is she talks about her health problems all the time. Narcissists love to be a victim, so therefore they create these fake illnesses. They create these scenarios where they're dying or some family member is dying. Sometimes that's to get money out of people. Sometimes it's just to get attention and sympathy. And, I've got a video. Honey, I've got a video for all this stuff. I've got a video on there on my YouTube where I talk about narcissism and other people's illnesses. They can't handle it. They like the attention that they get. For example, if someone in their family is in the hospital sick, a mother, a child, or a sibling, a spouse, they love the attention that they're getting. People will say, is there anything you need? I can cook you a meal and bring it over. You know, they love it when they're in the spotlight and everybody's coming to them with sympathy, with, you know, concern. But then when the sick person goes home and they are there with them to be their caregiver and nobody's coming around patting them on the back, all of a sudden they become angry. They become resentful. They only like doing for others when it's in the spotlight. She said that she contradicted herself right on camera the other day when she went to pick up those pizzas, and she said, I'm going to let you all watch me give this $10 tip. And then she turns right around and says, I do good deeds for people without announcing it. Okay, you've never done a good deed for anybody that there wasn't something in it for you. A narcissist is the type of person that would drive by a car accident along the highway and see someone just get into an accident and the person's sitting in their car. No one else has ever showed up yet, and the narcissist is the type of person that will look over at them and keep on driving. You know, let somebody else deal with it. They don't care about anybody else. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. And for her, it's so much worse because she's constantly needs to be in the spotlight. There's so many. I could talk about this, y'all. I could talk about this for days and days. When I end the video, I think, oh, I should have said something about that, you know. Narcissists tend to keep around and surround themselves with the people who they see are the most apt to put up with them, to allow them to do what they do to others. This applies to Ned because he has allowed her in his life for this long, knowing that she's screwing other people over, knowing that she's taking advantage of other people, knowing that she's lying. He sits 5, 6, 10 feet away from her while she's on live talking about all these things going on in her life, knowing full well that they're not happening. And he's just sitting over her giving her the side eye like, is this the new story for the day? Is this what we're supposed to go along with? I wonder, I've asked this question before. I don't know if there's any locals in Jackson that hear me, but I wonder what the people there in the town think about him and what they say to him. They run into him in town, in the store or something. Do they say something about her and things that she's doing online? Because he's aware of it. Don't think for 1 minute that he's not aware. He watches her. He comments on her lives all the time when he's not at home. So he knows exactly what she's all about. He's not... He may have been a victim in the beginning, but then he became a willing participant. He's goes along with it. And so is Mama. And she's hoping that she's molding Bella to become the same, which is very sad and disturbing. Nobody should allow their children to be around her, especially that child, because she has so much resentment. She's the child. She's the one that she wants all the attention from her mom, from all the other family members. She's the child. So when the little girl's around and she's getting the attention, she can't, it's like she wants to substitute herself. That's probably the reason why she buys herself all these stupid, childish shoes and just childlike stuff, These little, those little bags that she opened that had like all the little candies and things in them, those are like stuff that you would give out at like a children's birthday. Every child comes to the birthday party, gets a little something, or at school, in the classroom, they all get like a little gift bag or something. She had to buy that and open those for herself. And remember those little dog houses that she bought? She was opening those. I wonder where those are at right now. Probably in a bag somewhere in the back of her floor somewhere. Hoarding is another example of narcissistic behavior. Now, not all hoarders are narcissists, but most narcissists are either one extreme or the other. They're either an extreme clean freak, where everything has to be OCD, everything has to be in its place, it has to be pointed in the right direction, it has to be clean and shiny and well kept and well maintained, and it's routine. Or they are the complete opposite, like she is. It's just chaos. Just throw anything anywhere, it doesn't matter. The gifts that she claims that people send to her, and they might be sending her stuff, but she doesn't value those gifts, and she throws them over in the corner. Or she has them stacked up, all these pallets, all these shoes, things that she's shown over the years. She says, I would never sell anything that my followers send me. So what does she do with them? Just throw them over here and stack them up. Because they don't value anything. It's in the moment for her to show it and to say, look what some adoring person who adores me because I'm so adorable and I'm so worthy of this. So they sent this to me. And even if people are not sending that stuff to her, she will buy it for herself and say that they did, to put herself up on a pedestal, to make people think that she's that important. They love to be important. They love to be the hero of the story. And they also love to be the victim of the story, because if they're the victim of the story, then they can become the hero. If they're the victim of the story, then people feel sorry for them. They have sympathy for them. That's the reason why people send her money to eat. That's the reason why people send her money. If she was on live and I was the one watching, and she said, me and Mom's out driving around, guys, and we're about to run out of gas here. I'd say, well, you better learn how to use those Hey Dude shoes that somebody sent you and hoof it. Wouldn't hurt her. I could go on for days, y'all. I will direct y'all to my YouTube channels. You know, you can hear more of my thoughts on this. There's so many great professional channels on YouTube to get information about narcissism. Mine's not professional. I just make my videos, talk, and give my thoughts and opinions on this stuff. Tell my story about what I went through and how I learned all this stuff through trial and error. But once they get to the devalue, then they go through the discard. When they get to the point that they're starting to devalue you, make you feel like everything you thought, this great, wonderful relationship or friendship, and they build you up and make you feel like you have saved their life. You've given them so much to look forward to. You've brought them up out of a dark place. Then all of a sudden they start telling you that you're making them feel bad, that you're bringing them down, that they make you feel like you are causing them problems. Or they start pointing out your flaws and your problems, make you feel even worse about yourself. And then the whole time that when the devalue begins, they're over there telling somebody else the exact same horror stories about you that they told you about the last person. Because they will tell you all the horrible ways that other people treated them. We see that with her. She talks about her past, how all these people were so cruel to her, so mean to her, and treated her so badly, and how all these people got her fired from all these jobs on the internet, and selling makeup and stuff. She doesn't point out the fact that she broke the rules and that she was cheating the company, trying to cheat other people by taking their sales and by trying to lure their customers over to her by going into messages and trying to do things underhanded and sneaky. She doesn't tell any of that because that would be admitting wrongdoing, and a narcissist will never admit wrongdoing. I have compared them to the child with their hand in the cookie jar. The child, you walk in and the child's got its hand in the cookie jar with the cookie crumbled up in its fat little hand, and you catch them red-handed and they look at you and they're like, I didn't do this. You're wrong. You're not seeing what you're seeing. They never admit that they've done anything wrong. And if they do, they will say it in such a way as like, well, somebody else caused it. It's your fault. If you had treated me better, if you had been here for me, if you had given me what I wanted, this would not have happened. I had to do what I had to do. And they blame others. They transfer blame onto other people. They deflect away from their wrongdoing and say somebody else caused me to do this. It's never their fault. They're never wrong. And even if they ever do admit to something wrong, they spin it. They have to spin it. Because in their mind, in their egotistical minds, they had a reason for doing it. It didn't matter that it was wrong. It didn't matter that it was illegal. It didn't matter that it harmed others. They had a reason for doing it, and they justified in their minds. They will cheat on their partner and say, well, I wasn't getting it from you. I wasn't getting anything, any love or any attention from you. So that is another form of gaslighting, as they start to make you feel even more like, well, maybe I wasn't being as good as I should have been. Maybe I wasn't treating them the way I should have. should have treated them. You know? They're always ready with an excuse, and they're always ready with a lie to cover up the last lie. And the stories, oh my God, the stories, the fantasies, the grandiose, made up, over the top fantasies that they can come up with. We've all seen it from her. This wallet, stolen wallet story. I mean, that was like, that guy, he went from robbing them and running away and coming back a half an hour later, and then they were able to attack him and get their wallets back, and then he took the money out, and then the next thing you know, he grabs their wallets and she beats him up right then and there, but yet he was still able to get the money out, even though she caught him right in the act and beat him up, and then he went to jail, then he didn't go to jail. And then someone was looking in her window, and someone was sleeping in her basement. I mean, they come up with some of the most bizarre, over-the-top stories. I could tell you all some stuff. I think I probably talked about it some more on my YouTube channel. But like I said, when I was making that playlist and telling that story, I didn't know anything about CMC existing. I started making those videos back in 2019 when I finally had that come to Jesus, aha, realization of what I had seen and been through, and had finally was able to put a name to it. I started making those videos and talking about that. And then it was 2021 before I discovered her, and I was like, oh my goodness. Two of them would have gotten along pretty good. No, I don't know. One would have been trying to one-up the other with the lies. They don't just lie like someone asks them, you know, what did you do today? Or someone asks them, did you go to the store today? And they say, yeah, but they really didn't. That's just they make up lies. They make up these big fantasy lies. They can't just lie like yes or no lies. They have to embellish and add to it and create. They want to be so important, and they want to be so mysterious, you know. She is the perfect definition of a narcissist. I'm surprised she asked the question, what is a narcissist? Well, I'm not really surprised, because a narcissist would never admit that they're a narcissist. I'm sure many people throughout the years have said to her, you're a narcissist. She's just like, you know, because they will never admit it. And the ones that do admit it, there was this guy on Facebook a while back. A lot of people were sharing his videos. He was talking about he was a narcissist, and that he had finally decided to come clean about it, and that he was out here educating other people on what to look out for and how to avoid being manipulated and abused by a narcissist, and telling women how to avoid men who were narcissists in relationships. And I'm just watching all these people following him and praising him, and I'm thinking, well, if he's a narcissist, that's exactly what he wanted to begin with, was praise and glory. Because, see, it was what is that, an oxymoron? Because a narcissist will never admit that they're a narcissist. They will never admit that they've done anything wrong. They will never say, yes, I lied, yes, I took people's money, and I used it for things that I told them I was going to use it for something completely opposite. They will never admit to that. She will never admit to that. If they get caught and they say, yes, I cheated, I went out and I cheated with someone else, they say, it was because this person hurt my feelings so bad and mistreated me, or they were cheating on me, or they were, not giving me the attention that I needed, or whatever. So even if they do own up to doing something wrong, they have to make it somebody else's fault. And she's the perfect example of that. And I don't understand why, unless those people are just so gullible. Gullible is a big word, but it's not just gullible. I mean, you might have 20 people, and out of those 20 people, you might have 2 people that are gullible and too trusting and too easily manipulated. But what about the rest of them? What is going through their minds? Not all of these people are, old, feeble, easily manipulated people. I don't understand what their angle is. I think some of these people send her money and do stuff like that to watch her come back in the shape that she comes back in, when she can barely speak and when her eyes are gone, They like seeing that train wreck, and maybe they think once she's under the influence that she will begin to speak truth. I don't know. But I will say one more thing. As I always say, not every addict is a narcissist, but most narcissists are addicts of some sort. They're either sex addicts, they're hoarders, they're drug or alcohol addicts, or they have some addiction of some kind. Because they can't calm the voices in their head, they can't calm the thoughts in their mind, and they have to find some outlet. She's found social media is a way to deal with whatever it is. The normal person that's going through some thoughts in their head that's bothersome, or some pain or some struggle, will turn to religion. They will turn to a friend. They will turn to self-help or some support group, or something like that. Exercise or something positive, something to awaken them and help them. Narcissists will turn to destructive behavior, and one of the most destructive things that they turn to is abusing others. It makes them happy. It makes them feel grander, and it gives them a purpose. Oh, I didn't even mean for this video to go so long, but I could go on about this for hours. I know everybody's tired of hearing it, but, the next time she asks the question, what's a narcissist? Well, tell her. Somebody out there, she's got all of us blocked. There has to be 1 or 2 people in her comments that are educated. They are able to see with their own eyes. They've probably dealt with someone like this in their own life, and yet they sit there and they watch her being abusive to the people in her life, being condescending and in constant attack mode, in constant self-defense mode. I know the word evil gets thrown around a lot, and people say they're a demon or they're evil. I don't want people to get confused. I don't want people to get confused and think evil in the terms of like vampires or something like that. It's a evil kind of something inside of them just makes them hate, makes them resent. And it's a game to them. I know it's hard for you to understand. My dryer kicked off, time to go get my towels out and fold them. Well, I folded a load yesterday, and then I did another load last night after bath time, so it was like double the towels, double towel weekend. My husband worked in the garden all day yesterday, and he had to come home and, well, anyway, I could go on about this, but if you, there's some great channels on YouTube where you can get more information about this. I could tell more and more and more, but I'd be here all week, so I just wrap this up by saying a narcissist is someone who lives for getting something over on somebody, tricking somebody, using people, lying is it's their way of life. Rolls off their tongue like butter. It's nothing to them to lie, and not just lie, but make up big grand stories of lies. As long as they are taking something from somebody else, using people for whatever they can get out of them, whatever it might be that they're after in that moment, having people put them up on a pedestal, having people cowing down to them, afraid of them, or and that's another thing that I didn't even touch on, is that narcissists love to be this big badass. You know, they're the baddest on the block. Roll up to the hard top, roll up to the black top. But you never see that actually transpire, because they block people and then they run and hide. You know, they're all talk, they're big mouths, and they just love to talk. Well, everybody, I'm going to wrap this video up. I just want to say thank y'all for listening, and if you want to find out more from me, I'm sure you do, you can go to YouTube and look up Narcissism-Diary of a Survivor, and if you can't find it, just comment and I'll give you the link. Thanks for listening.